G'day guys, got a 6000 in, well, couple, and one of them still has the original inductors on the Class D amplifier. That is the one that causes the feedback. And I was just pulling it apart, I just noticed that it has. So I'm going to pull it apart and I'm going to show exactly what this problem is. So that's why I got those big deep tube sockets, because they fit beautifully on these all the nuts on 6s and 7s, and makes it easy to pull apart. You don't really want to get in there with vice grips, or you could probably use a spanner, but this makes it easy. Nice big tube socket. So like I said, these were come from Temu or something. Oh, cheap as like $4 Australian. Yeah, Australian pesos, same thing. So yeah, the other thing to take note of too, with all the hardware on these detectors, is that this metal stuff's all anodized. So if you expected to get any sort of electrical connection, top and bottom, you won't. Anodizing does not conduct. It's an insulator. So aluminium oxide. Anyway, we'll pull this out, give it a poke in there, and I'll explain this one. I'll need something to poke at it. I'll use this. This will do. Hopefully you can see it. If you can't see it, you probably might have to magnify it. Okay, I'm going to be working backwards to the camera, so it's going to be hard to do, but we'll see how we go. Here we go. Oh, hang on. Maybe I'll just get round here and do it like this, and hopefully you can see it. Well, that's the Class D amplifier IC right there, and that's the two inductors there and there. They're pretty high off the board, as in height. You can see those. Where's a camera on this thing? It's over there, isn't it? Oops, it goes out of focus. Yeah, but these ones here, they're two identical. I think they're 22 microhenry, something like that anyway. Very high, and it doesn't need to be 22 microhenry. I actually tried different values in that position, and what I found is the less turns of wire you're going to have on any inductor. Depends how it's made, of course, and what its surrounds are. If it's got a lot of ferrite, high permeability ferrite there, it's going to be higher inductance with less turns. But you really want to try and get your turns ratio down. So maybe very high permeability, and go down to 10 microhenries for these, and try and get the planar. Planar means flat. Get the flat ones that'll fit on that footprint. And I do have some here somewhere. I put them down. I probably lost them. But anyway, we'll put that there. There's a few things that can be changed on the 6000 to make it quieter anyway. And that's what we do. We've been doing a few of these lately. And the feedback's been really good. And I've got to tell someone, Adam, if you're watching, I know you got problems with your 7. This is what you can do. I'll show it on the 6 because it's exactly the same process. Okay, now put the camera down while I'm talking at it, which will look bloody stupid. Okay, the mylar. Okay, because you were saying when you operated a UHF handheld radio near the detector and the detector shut down, right? Which I think is rather amazing. And that's on the 7000, not on the 6, but same principle applies. This possibly could be acting as your antenna, because you've got the big strips here is basically battery positive and battery negative, and they're not overlaid over each other, as in they're not acting as a ground plane to each other. Thus, that would negate a lot of coupling if that was done, but it's not. They've run it side by side. Now, what you can do, while I've got this apart, I might as well explain it, because otherwise I'll put it back together and I'll have to pull another 7 apart. But if you look on these, I'm not sure which one's which on this because I can't remember. But one of these, you obviously got a lot of gunk around there, white powder sitting in the middle. But anyway, one of these is obviously positive and one's negative. You probably have to poke your battery and find out what side's what. But do it on, it won't be the same as this. 7 might be different. I don't know. I haven't. Well, actually, I did one, but I put it back together and I can't recall straight off the top of my head. What you do, this is a good idea, and you can do it to all your detectors. Okay, this is to protect or help protect the detector if it's going to get stray fields, close proximity signals in, which will probably overload the poor detector. But I suspect because the rest of everything else is hard on a ground plane on the detector, these are not. What I did, I got the the HSF, sorry, 54, the black carbon. And what I did, I painted the black carbon on this strip, on these here. I just went there. Don't get the black carbon all over your other connections for your speaker or your head unit. Don't do that because that'll be a problem. But because this is all mylar, it's all the wires are insulated anyway. So paint your black carbon down here, along here, and when you get down to that little strengthening strip here, stop it right there along that line. Don't continue down. If you get carbon on those pins there, you're going to cause short circuits. But I know you're smarter than that, but I'm just saying this for anybody who wants to do it. And get black carbon, stick it on here, go down the 2 wires here to there. And what you do then, make sure you clean up your mylar first with a bit of acetone or even spirits, white spirits, ethanol, or IPA, whatever. Locate whichever one of these pins is a negative and draw your black carbon onto the negative and all around the negative. Don't go onto the positive because you know what will happen. You'll have some red glows happening right where I got the screwdriver there. I'm just scraping off that white stuff. I think it's a remnants of being hand soldered. I will say soldered, unless I change countries. Yeah, it's a lot of white gunk in there. I've scraped most of it out anyway. But I think it's just remnants of resin that hasn't been cleaned off. But anyway, so yeah, if you paint all this mylar black, avoid here and don't go anywhere near those mylar through plates there. Just come back from that and all the way down. Well, then you've referenced this whole structure with a ground plane. You've got a ground plane on it connected to negative, and you cover your positive. And also on the back of this too, if you have a look, you got all those data lines on this side, right? So you get all the data lines there. They are now screened with a ground plane because they don't have it. You could look at this and say, well, they're screened with the negative, but they're not screened with the positive, unless there's a dirty big capacitor across the rail very close to where this bit here goes in. But to bring it all to like basically with induced radio waves getting into it and bring this all to the same potential so you don't get any waves traveling, just carbon it and you just added a ground plane basically. So that might cure the issue with the 7 that gets reset. We know it's a funny thing that because this happened to Adam, who's had a few detectors done from us, and Yeah, he rang up and said that the UHF radio he bought turned the detector off. And he couldn't just turn the detector back on. He actually had to pull the battery out and then put it back in. So, was something happening? I don't know. I haven't pulled a Minelab battery apart. Does it have inbuilt charge and protection circuits? It might have tripped that. I don't know. Sounds weird to me. But if it is in the battery, which is obviously goes on the end there, well, if you do that there, that might alleviate that problem. I've done the stuff like that in the past when I used to do a lot of radio work on transmitters and receivers, doing satellite stuff and whatever else. And a lot of cases, it's just free wiring, which basically that's just wiring, right? Neat, because they're all little copper tracks. So it is wire. It's basically a big bundle of wires, but set in mylar and flat. If you cover it up with carbon, well, maybe, just possibly, maybe that helps alleviate that problem. And the other thing too, just thinking out loud, maybe, and I say maybe, and this is my own humble opinion, that even far field radio waves possibly could interact with this acting as an antenna system. And yeah, like I say, you can see it there. They're just, I would say, looking at that the back tracks are probably, it should be by convention under the negative, but it might be under the positive. I don't know. I'll have to stick a battery in and find out. But yeah, that could help. Um, anyway, back onto what I was doing. That's what happens because it's everything's interconnected. Now I just got to find some miniature inductors. They were here. Where have they gone? Like I say, I had to go and buy a whole heap of new stuff, components, because, oh, here they are. I had them here. I knew I had them here. Come here, you. Okay. I'll put those in there. Okay. These are the inductors that I'm going to replace those two with. I don't know if you can actually see them. These are, yeah, it's going to go blurry, isn't it? Hang on. How about if I do that? But anyway, these are the inductors I'm going to replace those two on the board with. These are 10s, not 22. Doesn't have to be 22. You probably get away with less. Depends on loading, depends on size of your capacitors, and basically the way you smooth out that digital waveform to bring it back into analog waveform and keep it all nice and clean. But these work beautifully. I've tested it, load tested it, ran at 3 watts output or something. It didn't care less. There's no heat generated. So yeah, you can go to smaller ones because a 10 microhenry inductor is going to have far less windings. Now, yeah, they're totally ferrite sealed. So these are what they call a shielded inductor, and they're very hard to put on the board because you got to get on the bottom of them because that's where the solder pads are. But yeah, I've got to remove those ones there, which I'm poking right there, and put these in. These are about half the size, and they're also flat wound. What I mean when I say flat wound, I'll show you with the board. You just have to imagine this. Okay, the inductors here, right, are wound this way, round and round and round like this. So the other thing is too, when you got the inductors wound this way, and far field effects goes to the end of the inductors. It doesn't go down this way. even other external fields as such from a distance. If you're close, it's going to couple straight in. But end-on coupling for this with the planar ones, which are flat wound, the coupling is this way. And the benefit of that is that these are mounted over a ground plane, which is a copper layer on the board, wherever it is. These are multi-layer boards. And that gives it some shielding as the ground plane, as the winding is sitting that way on the ground plane. So it does shield it in one direction. And the other thing is too, you've got to realize that there's nothing this way. There's nothing to interact with any electronics this way. So the planar one is shielded by the ground plane here, and also is no interaction this way. When you've got these on here and their interaction, any leakage, well, we call it leakage inductance, or the inverse of that, which is a leakage acceptance. It's this way. So it runs out here onto the board. I don't know what's underneath. You can get stray fields close, and it actually runs back into its own Class D amplifier IC in close proximity. I don't know if that would cause an issue. The other thing is as well, you've got inductors here for switch mode power supplies. You've got a shielded inductor there, another one there, little power supplies generating whatever rails they do. And yeah, that could be a means of getting some leakage from around here this way, or this way back into that, however it happens. It could also be coming from the speaker, and the speaker magnetic field is this way. That's the way it works. It comes in through the speakers at the back here. The coil's wound this way. So, if you really think about that, there shouldn't be any really strong interaction, because these are wind on. They're not in the same plane. Like if you want proper coupling, you can't, if you say have something facing like that and something like that, well, there's going to be a lot of coupling. It's basically the windings are the same, unless they're counterwound, and then you're going to have about a 25 decibel decrease in the coupling coefficient. But if you suddenly do that, the coupling is absolutely just about nothing. It will not cut the fields of these wires like that. So, when you do inductors and things like that, don't do it like that. And possibly, even if it is like this, don't put your ICs here, bonk, straight into it. That could possibly have an effect. I don't know. I didn't design it, so I don't know. And it's just stuff that over the years, I would just be aware of. So these are going to come out, and we'll put the small ones in there. But yeah, just so you do know, in your own detectors, you can pull it apart if you want. You just undo a little torque screws on the back, and very carefully pull it apart, undo the nut here, and have a look inside, and just see if you have those, well, shall I call them the culprits? I don't know. They're doing what they're meant to do, but there is interaction. This is only occurring whilst you use the inbuilt amplifier on its internal speaker, right? So, that. If you plug in here an external speaker, amplifier, speaker, headphones, or whatever, it has connections there which disable this Class D amplifier, which is that little chip there, a little black thing. So it disables that, and when that's disabled, all this feedback loop problem, which has been spoken about on many forums, that is then not an issue. It doesn't cause an issue whatsoever. So our culprit for all this noise and feedback loop is the Class D amplifier in this detector. So just plug something in the back and don't use the Class D amplifier, and don't use the back speaker. Just use something external, instant cure. So that is one way of doing that. Or if you want to use the back speaker, to entertain everyone walking behind you, because that's my joke about that back speaker. It doesn't face at you. It's not facing your ears. Uh, you know, it's facing behind you. Yeah, you can just, in all honesty, if you really wanted to, you could disable this and you could actually build in, and there's enough room to do it. You could put your own Class A B amplifier there, and you power the speaker with it. Just it's easy enough to disable. Just remove the power supply to that, and just pick up the low level audio and just re-amplify it. But that's a big thing to do on a detector. Uh, I don't think you really want to do that. I don't think anyone in their right mind would really want to do that. But you could do it. You could do it. But yeah, I'd rather just not use the rear end speaker and that amplifier, and yeah, just put in some headphones. When you plug in headphones, the amplifier is disabled, so it doesn't. Well, the issue goes away basically. Yeah. So that's that. Anyway, I'm not going to go and you can see my crazy unsoldering techniques. I've seen some of the stuff that's been done by other people, and it's really interesting. But I will show you how to do it. I'll show you what tool you have to get to do it, and hopefully it should be up here. Here it is. The most weirdest looking contraption you've ever seen. You try and get a surface mount component off, right? You're going to put the iron on one side, the other, trying to heat it up. Don't do that. Get yourself this. It's two irons in one, right? It's got a weird name. Gordak, 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 right? Sounds like a thing from another planet, doesn't it? Watch out, the Gordaks are coming. But what you do, you get this, get it up. Remember, this is done with usually, hopefully, non-lead solder, so you need to turn the temperature up a fair bit. And you get this, it's got little tiny end bits on it, and you can squeeze it like so. And anyway, what you do, you get this, heat it up, and you just stick it on like so. I'm not going to do it in the air, but if you stick it on like that and they heat the component, it'll just pop straight off. And you can also use, well, of course, you're going to use this. You can use a normal soldering iron if you want to put the new ones on. But if you want to do it in one hit, you can use these, or you can stick it on one side and just make sure it's all lined up, and then do the hit the solder on the other side. So that's if you want to muck around doing these tiny little inductors. It's a better way to do it. But when you take them off, be careful. Any surface mount stuff on these boards, some of the track work is really fine, and if you try and do it by touch, you'll pull the tracks off, and then you'll cry, especially if it goes to a blind through plate and you don't know what's on the other side. You won't be able to, in most cases, reconnect the component to where it's meant to go. You will be in a big spot of bother. But yeah, use the right tools for this, and you'll have a good outcome. Don't try and bodgy it. Like in the past, you can sort of see people, they flood the whole thing with solder. Don't do that either. That chip there, if it goes on the legs of that, you're gonna have a hard time getting it off. Um, be wary, be careful, and yeah, you can use these. You can wire these up to go onto a normal soldering station. They do have this was something like, I don't know, it was about $20. But if you want to buy the whole thing with the soldering station and that, it's over $100. But all you need to do is just remember it's two soldering irons, and you just have to redo the plug so it'll fit your normal soldering station. Just make sure that it's not a gutless version. Make sure it's probably a 60 watter. There's a lot of these soldering stations, the Chinese ones, that are a little bit gutless in the temperature department. Like you put your soldering iron on the circuit board, and it basically goes and sticks to it. Just doesn't have enough heat, or enough grunt to get over the inertia of that board sucking all the heat out of your poor iron as it goes on. So, like, if you have a look at this thing here, what I'm using, which is my normal soldering one, these are the Chinese ones. It's a bit gutless, but if you notice that I've changed the size of my tip. I don't use a little tiny 0.7 anymore. Well, I do. I have to because some componentry demands it. But that there, yeah, you're going to get heat and it's going to stick really quick. There's nothing worse than getting underpowered iron having the solder, um, you know, like, I don't know what it looks like, amalgam or something. It just doesn't flow, doesn't melt. You're pushing it all over the board. You make a mess. Just use the heat. Get in there, get in quick. Bang, half a second off. Not this 10 seconds. Gee, why won't it take? You just got to do it the right way. So that's all ready to go. But yeah, I'll just do these inductors anyway. You don't actually need to see me doing it because I can't really angle the camera and stuff to do that. It'll just be out of screen. I won't be looking at the camera. I'm looking at what I'm doing, so that would be rather pointless. And I'll probably tag on the end result or something. But that's yeah, those things. Because a lot of that have come in have already been reworked, and this one just hasn't. So I thought I'd just show it, just in case you've got one that has the audio feedback problem. If you want to use the internal speaker, you can fix it quite cheaply. Get those 10 microhenry miniature inductors. You buy them off AliExpress or something. They're cheap as. They're nothing special. And just make sure that they're the planar flat wounds, because you'll have less interaction with anything. And yeah, it's basically magnetically shielded. And I've done it, so I've tested it. I can't make the thing scream anymore. But I did that a while ago. So it's a quick fix if you want to do it. Anyway, that's enough. Catches.